It was just a regular SkyBlock day. The sun was shining, players were grinding, Derpy was in office, and completely ruining the vibe. Without the ability to spend absurdly large amounts of money on things I didn't need, I needed something to do while I sat in that election hall. And as I was obliviously celebrating the new year, this happened. Wait, Hoppity's hunt has begun. What is this? Who are you? So this Hoppity guy wanted me to hunt for the chocolate rabbits he proudly kidnapped all by himself and stuffed into eggs for other people to discover. Okay, initially I was horrified, but sometimes the most terrible things are the most intriguing, so instead of calling the cops, I decided to do some further investigations. Oh my god, is this all the rabbits he's kidnapped? This thing is 15 pages long! So then Hoppity decided to invite me into his factory, but little did he know he just made the biggest mistake of his career. I have 0 chocolate. Click to uncover the meaning of life. Oh my god, it's Cookie Clicker. This is my life now. Wait, left clicking is ugly, I gotta change to middle click. And so it begun. Once I started left clicking, all of my hopes, all of my dreams, all my aspirations for the future were suddenly toast. From that moment onwards I knew that I had to build the greatest chocolate empire the world has ever seen by left clicking as fast as my wrist would allow me to. But soon I realized there was an immediate flaw to my plan. I couldn't just keep clicking the button forever to get chocolate. How would I get chocolate while I sleep? Now I know you're probably thinking, Groudon, the obvious answer is not sleeping. Okay, well I'm sure this event will make some people fall under that category. But if I've learned anything from life, it's that the answer to all your problems is enslaving innocent civilians. There was this unemployed rabbit bro guy loitering outside my factory, so I took him in against his will and made him work for me. I'm such a good person. But Groudon, why aren't you paying him? Look, I may not be paying him, but I'm feeding him chocolate, okay? He's getting all the nutrients he needs to live, I promise. With the first of my employees acquired, I can produce an additional chocolate every second without having to click at all. Having fully automated my chocolate production, I decided to do a little exploration. While inspecting the menu, one feature immediately stood out to me from all the others, a shop where you could exchange your chocolate for various items. Among the items were a legendary talisman, an item to upgrade rabbit pets to mythic, and a new legendary farming cloak known as Zoro's Cape, costing a humble 20 billion chocolate! Despite the ridiculous price tag, I was sure that as soon as I got my hands on the items they could sell for huge sums of money on the auction house. However, those items also required something else, a higher chocolate factory level. Upon looking at the prestige menu, I noticed that I was only chocolate factory 1. Unacceptable. I had to be the first with those items and I would do anything it takes to reach the maximum level before anyone else. However, with only 1 chocolate produced every second, it would take 150 million seconds to get prestige 2, which roughly translates to 1,736 days. SkyBlock probably hasn't even been out for that long! On top of that, I thought my rabbit bro was getting kinda lonely, so I decided that I needed some new unpaid employees. Okay, I think he looks American. Now as an Australian, I know next to nothing about the elusive American, but I've heard Alabamians in particular are very close to their family members. This gives me an idea. Using the power of American logic, I hired Rabbit Bro's cousin to keep him company for the rest of his life. Emphasis on the rest of his life. Unlike Rabbit Bro, upgrading Rabbit Cousin gave 2 extra chocolate per second, but in turn it would take almost twice as much chocolate to upgrade him. However, I knew this wasn't anywhere near enough chocolate. I had the perfect solution though. You see, through my extensive research I found that in America, the only thing better than marrying your cousin is marrying your sister. Upgrading Rabbit Sis would give a whole 3 extra chocolate per second, and of course, it costs even more chocolate to upgrade her. By continuing to upgrade my growing army of employees, my chocolate per second was rapidly increasing. But then what was the point of collecting the 15 pages of chocolate rabbits? Before I had time to think about it, a chocolate breakfast egg spawned. Chocolate eggs spawned 3 times a day in different spots on public islands, and when found would roll for a random chocolate rabbit that Hoppity kidnapped. Each chocolate rabbit gave additional chocolate per second and increased my chocolate multiplier, which multiplies my production by a questionably small amount. Gives +1 chocolate and 0.002 multiplier. That's barely anything! However, looking at the menu I saw there were 395 unique chocolate rabbits with higher rarities giving significantly more chocolate than lower rarities. It was then I knew that I needed to start getting my collection up right away. As the eggs could spawn on all public islands, I figured that the smaller the island is, the easier the eggs would be to find. With that, I quickly made a perilous journey to the most dangerous island in the game. That's right, I'm talking about the gold mine. While waiting for more eggs to spawn, I continued to upgrade my employees until I said, screw it, these guys are getting too expensive to upgrade, I'm losing too much chocolate, I need more employees, and this one won't be a love interest, Rabbit Bro needs a parent figure. Okay, I lied, it's another love interest. And just like that, Rabbit Daddy was added to the mix. With a 4th employee and my rabbit collection increasing, I could see my chocolate factory was becoming less empty by the second. However, I needed for it to be full, and for that I needed more chocolate! From then on, I proceeded to repeat these exact actions. I clicked the chocolate, I upgraded my employees, then continued to click the chocolate. The more chocolate I got, the more my brain was losing its capacity to think of anything else but chocolate. Every time a chocolate egg would spawn, I would tear up the entire island until I found it. Finally, I had enough chocolate to hire one last employee, Rabbit Granny. Rabbit Granny was the final piece of the puzzle. With her present, Rabbit Bro's polyamorous marriage could finally be arranged. Oh yeah, she also gives 5 chocolate per second, but that's not important. From all of my employees and chocolate rabbit collection combined, I was now producing 500 chocolate per second. Duplicate rabbits were also a thing, but they just gave me more chocolate, so I didn't care. All I wanted was to see numbers go up. Oh my god, we got Bartholomew! Having already hit 1 million overall chocolate, I thought my factory was completely unstoppable. But as I entered lobby 1, I was shocked to see just how fierce my competition was. Thousands of players across the server had also set their lives aside to grind chocolate. But I had a plan, you see. A flawless plan. Which was to log off Hypixel. Okay, under normal circumstances I would have stayed online, but college assignments have to exist for the sole purpose of tormenting me. So off I went. About an hour later I returned, and was greeted with this. 2.4 million chocolate! Oh my god, I love my employees so much that I'm giving them all a raise. Wait, I'm not paying them. Guess I'll just upgrade them. And so I did. Upgrading them made them work harder, which only resulted in one thing. More chocolate. Giving my employees the false illusion that I cared about them was my ultimate facade, which would help me succeed in my master plan of building a chocolate empire. And just as I thought the factory couldn't get any stronger, Rabbit Bro hit level 75 and was now an assistant. Soon enough I had reached 1100 chocolate per second and 5 million overall chocolate. As time passed, that number became 10 million, then 15 million, 20, 25, it just kept going up! I checked the leaderboards and saw that I was already top 2000 in chocolate. It was then I knew that I had a chance of being the first to level up my factory. I just needed to focus, to persevere. I had to sell my soul to Quetzalcoatl to get a higher chocolate output. If that isn't commitment worthy of a level up, I don't know what is. Within a few hours, Rabbit Bro reached level 120 and was completely maxed out, and I was producing 2100 chocolate per second. The Empire was truly unstoppable. Until all of a sudden, just like in every SkyBlock update before it, the one thing which could stop my supreme reign decided to happen. Okay, so I was on the road to 150 million chocolate when the admins decided to disable the chocolate factory! Someone's probably found an exploit already. Watch this, we're all about to get wiped. My rabbits are getting crushed, I can't upgrade my storage like this! Okay, you know what, I'll just let the admins do their thing. Time for bed. As I slept, I felt myself drifting off the astral plane, floating through the void like a lost soul moving away from reality, swimming amongst my tranquil surroundings for what seemed like hours, until out of nowhere, I heard an angelic voice singing out to me, "Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pain." I woke up with a jolt, and my initial thoughts were, Immediately I logged on and was pleasantly surprised. Oh my god, look at all this chocolate! With almost 90 million chocolate to spare, I could afford to max out all of my employees, and my factory was producing over 2,600 chocolate per second. An hour later I reached 150 million chocolate, which allowed me to finally level up my factory. However, leveling up came with one downside, being that my employees would be completely reset and lose all their levels and their memories. But I was confident that the inseparable bond I'd already formed with my employees would persist even after their memories were reset. It was time to level up. We did it! Level 2! Actually, how much are we making now? 199! Not even 200. Despite losing over 90% of my production speed, I was making fast progress in re-recruiting my employees of the past. About 25 minutes later, I had everyone back, eager to work as always and completely oblivious to the fact that I was using them as slaves. It wasn't long until once again, I hit 1,000 chocolate per second. Unfortunately for me, the next prestige required another 1.15 billion chocolate, which at this rate would take 13.3 days to reach. Unacceptable. Now obviously it would take way less time if I upgraded my workers, but now comes the difficult part. Now that my factory was level 2, I could finally buy the common talisman, but doing so would cost me 250 million chocolate. Not to mention that in the end it might not be worth it, because I could just buy it off the auction house. Chocolate was by no means a precious resource because I had over 150 million of it at this point. But if I spent a ridiculous amount of chocolate this early, I would risk going into crippling financial debt because I can't afford to upgrade my employees and I won't see that 250 million chocolate again for like 11 years. Now if it were soulbound I would definitely buy it, but currently there's no preview because this idiot's in the mayor's office, so my answers are gonna have to wait another 7 hours. Then I heard a knock on the door. It was my college assignments. They had come to torment me even further. Of course I didn't want to leave my newfound chocolate empire alone, but Rabbit Bro had already hit level 75 again, which reminded me of the significant amount of progress I had already made. With my factory running smoothly, a decent chocolate gain, and a high ranking, I decided to leave the rest to time. And when you want time, you speed up time. The new time tower perk allowed me to increase the speed of my factory for an hour, but only every 8 hours. I was already producing 1,475 chocolate a second with the help of my current collection of multipliers, and the time tower would help increase this number by an additional 10%. Which doesn't seem like much, but when you're trying to become a world superpower in chocolate, every integer matters. Plus, the upgrades are slightly better. Now ideally I would have saved it for when I reached a higher production speed, but where's the fun in that? I want to break time. Breaking time is always a good idea. But not for my employees. They don't ever get break time. Okay, before you click off the video, I just gotta call attention to this special rabbit I discovered. It's called the subscribe button. If you ever see one of these things, you're in luck because clicking on them gives like 11 chocolate per second. Do you have any idea how much that is? That would absolutely demolish my lead. Okay, I lied, it helps me out too, but chances are if you made it this far, there's the slightest possibility you care for my well-being, so click every subscribe button you see. Anyway, time to break time. Alright, work harder so I can have more chocolate. Later, idiots. In just 4 hours? After spending all my chocolate on upgrades, I was now producing 2,320 chocolate per second, and the amount of time it would take to prestige was 5.7 days, which was less than half of what it was a few hours ago. From there, I easily reached 200 million overall chocolate. Wait, Derpy's gone? Finally! Moment of truth. Is this talisman on the AH? Nothing yet. Okay, maybe people just haven't gotten that much chocolate yet. I'm waiting to see how much it's worth if it isn't soulbound. Soon after Derpy left, Hoppity's Hump was no longer active, but my factory would continue to run for all eternity. If my chocolate production kept growing the way it was now, I could make Willy Wonka's chocolate factory look like it was factory reset. On top of that, after prestiging, my employees were no longer limited to level 120. And just like that, Rabbit Bro was level 121. Look at my boy, look how far we've come. He went from this unemployed junkie to an employed junkie. And then there's these other losers, look at them, not even level 121 yet, lame. Wait, he's a manager now. Rabbit Bro's a manager. And then you have these subordinate assistants. You lot better follow your new manager, especially you, Grandma. Throughout the span of several days, I continued to upgrade my factory and use my time tower until the day where I would finally get enough chocolate to be able to prestige the next morning. By this time I had amassed over 1 billion chocolate and was producing over 3,700 chocolate every second. And with the time tower active, that number surpassed 5,800. I was more than satisfied with my factory's output and decided to call it a night. Meanwhile, in my absence, my employees were staging an intervention. They thought I was diving a little too far into the chocolate rabbit hole and were concerned for my habits. And rightfully so! I had given up everything, including my own soul, just to max out my factory faster, and had broken time for the sole purpose of increasing chocolate production. On top of that, I never gave them breaks. They were working 24/7, I forced them to marry. For all I know, this could have just been a strike in the making. But I'm feeding them, so it couldn't have been. Finally, I had reached 1.15 billion chocolate. Now considering how all my chocolate disappears after I prestige, I figured I should use it all on something. As a token of admiration for my employees' hard work, I promised them all an even split of chocolate before I leveled up my factory. Little did they know, I had other plans. But now I had to think about this from a moral point of view. Would I really betray my employees? The same employees which worked so hard to make me over 1 billion chocolate? For a common talisman of all things? Yes. Hey, guys, remember how I promised everyone a fair split of chocolate? Yeah, well, too bad, it's mine now! But then I'll reset their memories when I leveled up, so no blood was spilt. We love magical power! It felt strange looking at an empty room again. Once more, Rabbit Bro and the others were no longer working for me, and my production speed had dwindled down to a mere 350 chocolate per second. With all the items in the shop requiring absurd amounts of chocolate and an even higher level, I had a feeling this would not be the last time I see such a sight. But in the end, none of that matters because I'm sure the next prestige will be just as easy and time consuming as the last son of a...